Okay, scholars, let's see another example of solving a rational equation. Now here, we have a denominator that looks a little bit complicated, alright, and we think that, well, maybe we can factor it, alright? So that's always what you want to do. If you see a denominator that's not factored, definitely factor it first, because that will help you find the common denominator that you need to multiply every numerator by. Alright, so here we're going to factor this trinomial, and we'll have minus 6 and minus 1, because again, r times r is r squared, r times minus 1 plus negative 6 times r gives you negative 7r, and also negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. Alright, so we factored everything, and we know that we want to multiply every term by some quantity that will cancel out all these different denominators. Alright, so when you look at all these denominators, you can probably convince yourself that the lowest common denominator, that is the quantity that we'll have to multiply everything by, is going to have to be r minus 6 times r minus 1. Alright, and let's just show that that works. Alright, so here we go. We're going to multiply every single numerator by the lowest common denominator. Okay, and on the left hand side we have a common factor on numerator and denominator of r minus 6. So those go away and they leave us with 2 times r minus 1. Alright, on the right hand side, every single factor in the denominator cancels out here and we're just left with 10. Over here on the right we have this common factor on numerator and denominator of r minus 1. So those cancel out and they leave us with, we have minus r times r minus 6. So all the fractions are gone and the problem's much easier. So let's just simplify and distribute some terms, and we'll just do some basic algebra and solve this equation. So 2 times r, 2 times negative 1 equals 10 minus r times r squared. Be careful here, we have a minus r times minus 6, so that's plus 6r. Alright, now this is going to turn into a quadratic in standard form, and I see that I have this minus r squared here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add r squared to both sides, just to make my r squared term come over to the left and be positive. Alright, so I'm going to have r squared plus 2r minus 2 equals 10 plus 6r. Okay, and after you put this guy in standard form, you're going to find that you have r squared minus 4r minus 12 equals 0. Okay, again, that's just after rearranging terms here, doing some algebra to get this into standard form. Alright, so let's see if we can factor. Alright, we'll have minus 6 and plus 2, okay, again because minus 6 times plus 2 gives you negative 12, and negative 6 plus 2 add to give you negative 4. Alright, so let's see what values of r would make this equation true. Well, r could be 6, okay, which would make this 0, or r could be negative 2, which would make this 0. Okay, so we found that r is equal to 6 or negative 2. Very important. Let's go back up to the beginning and check. Okay, we know that if we were to plug in 6 into the denominator, this equation would be undefined. Alright, so r cannot equal 6. Throw that guy out. We're left with the solution of r equals negative 2. That is the value that makes this original equation true.